IVM.
This show is brought to you by IVM Podcasts. At IVM, we strive to get you the best podcasts every week, week in and week out. This has been a great week on IVM. We're launching a new show on the 21st of May, hosted by Veda. It's called Who's Your Mommy? And it's all about motherhood. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. Also, check out Cyrus Says. He had Tanvi Mehra this week as a guest. Tanvi basically is a yoga instructor, and she makes Cyrus do yoga in the studio. That's quite fun. Also, make sure you catch Simplified this week. Chuck, Naren, and Shrika talk about how Facebook is targeting you. And, well, given the news these days, I'm sure that's something that's of interest to everybody. On Paisa Vaisa this week, Anupam talks to Kaustav Belapurkar. He's the director of fund research at Morningstar, and it's a really interesting episode that gets into the ins and outs of mutual funds. Please definitely do check that out. So, guys, we also have a great new Hindi show called Pulyabazi. This last Thursday, we released an episode around the Indian-Afghanistan relationship over the years, and it's really interesting. The show is hosted by Pranay and Saurabh, both of whom are part of the Takshashila Institute, and I think that we're very glad to have them as part of the IVM family. And guys, just as a reminder, please follow us on social media as IVM Podcast. Please do reach out. We would love to hear from you. Also, wherever you're listening to this podcast, please see if you can give us a rating over there, or if you can give us a review over there, whether that's Apple Podcasts or whether that's CastBox or wherever you're listening to your podcast, or the IVM app for that matter. It's a really good app. You should check it out. And now let me get you onto your show.
Hi,
You're
listening to IVM
Daily.
Hey guys, I'm Gaurav and welcome to another episode of IVM Daily, a show where IVM staffers talk about what's going around the world and what's going around in their mind.
But mostly what's going on in their mind.
Yeah, what's going around the world, Gaurav? I got my answer.
So, today's topic is about, has been inspired from the number of imperfect topics we have for IVM Daily.
Oh, I thought it was Amir Khan.
So, today's topic is about perfectionism. And I'll tell you why this topic is very important to me. For a long time in my life, perfectionism either consciously or subconsciously has taken root in my decision making. Now, like, the reason I would sometimes not have a birthday party when I was younger is like, no, I can't have a birthday party because right now I can't make it perfect. I can't have the perfect birthday party right now. So you know what? I'm not even going to celebrate my birthday this year. I'll just give a few snacks and I'll do a half-ass job because why? Like, I can, they just say, well, this is just some kind of treat for my birthday. It's not my birthday party. If I was celebrating a party, it would be perfect. So, perfectionism today, what do you guys think? Do you think it helps people grow, and is it good or is it a bad thing? Let's start with you, Jaanam.
I think it's great to aim for perfection. Like, whatever, in your approach towards anything in life, I feel everyone must strive for it. You should at least aim for it. Don't be lethargic and laid back.
Okay.
At the same time, don't get obsessive about being perfect because that makes you neurotic and, anxious and OCD and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. So aim for it, but don't obsess over it.
So in one sentence, it would be aim for perfection, don't be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Abbas?
I think according to me, it depends on who's setting the bar for what is perfect. Your perfect version of something may be different from the other person's. So you have to be perfect in your assessment. This is the best I could do and I did it, right? So in a literal sense, perfectionism, again, it's subjective. There is no perfect cricket match. You might enjoy one cricket match more than the other, but both of them can be equally entertaining. Would you pick one over the other? Like a batsman might score 20 runs right when the team needs it. Another one might score 375 in a test match. Which one would you put on a higher pedestal? Which were the more perfect innings, right? So it depends from person to person and situation. So pursuit of perfectionism, it sounds good in theory, but at the end of the day, you have to answer yourself whether you did your best and whether you learned from your mistakes and gave a better effort than you did when you did the same thing last time.
So I have a question. Did perfectionism ever hold you back in any way in your life, or did it ever propel you forward?
No, I think in school, our education system is very it hammers the idea in a child's head that you have to get certain amount of marks in order to come across as a top scorer or a quote-unquote good student, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think our school system hammers the idea of perfectionism into a student's head, that you have to score good marks in order to be a good student, otherwise your future is ruined, right? So I think all of us, especially, I don't know about you, but Jaanam and I, or other students who read and get education in India in school, I think perfectionism hinders them a lot, because they have to live up to a certain ideal of a perfect student in order to prove themselves. So I think it starts right there.
Yeah, I agree with Abbas. I actually have an incident to back this up. So when I was in school, there was this one math test I gave, and I myself don't believe this, but I scored very well on that exam, on that test, and I got like half a mark less than the highest mark the person scored in class.
Okay.
And obviously I should have celebrated, because it was like I was one of the toppers, and I came home, I showed the paper to my mom, and I started crying because I didn't get the highest.
You missed it by just half,
and that made me cry. Then, cut to a few years later, when I stopped giving a shit about my studies. Same math. We had like mental maths in school, where they used to ask questions on the spot, and we had to mentally calculate, which I never did. I always scribbled on the desk and figured out the answers. But in that, I scored half out of 20. That was my mark.
You got your half then, the one which you missed 6 years ago.
Yeah, and when I got half out of 20, I was actually laughing. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
My God.
What about you? Has perfectionism held you back?
Yeah, I think perfectionism, I don't see it in a micro sense, like I need to do every small job I do in life perfectly. But perfectionism in a subconscious way has really held me back for a really long time, especially after college. Now, because I think when you chart your life out, we're all wanting a perfect life. We all want a good life at least, right? And we want to make the best decisions in our life. And especially when you come out of college, you have no idea what that is. You only hear things from everyone else, and you want to make that perfect decision to your next phase of life, because you feel like, oh my God, this is so important, because if I take a wrong decision here, my life is going to go totally off. At least that was a perception I had at that time. And because I wanted to make the perfect decision, I was like stuck where I was. I couldn't get a job because I was like, well, this is not the perfect thing for me, because I don't think I'll do an interview over here. Well, this is not the perfect thing for me because I don't see myself doing that after 5 or 10 years. This is not the perfect thing for me for various reasons. And the moment I let go of like, what is a perfect thing to do, and I just looked at myself in an all-rounded manner, and I'm like, wait, what the hell am I doing? I'm doing nothing. This is like the half mark out of 20 that I'm living right now, and getting like a subpar choice, but making a choice and doing something about it, I think that's much more important than making the 100% right choice. Make an 80% right choice, but make it. 70% right choice, but make it. So, I mean, that is actually how I even got into the podcasting industry. I never saw myself as a person who'd be coming and talking over here to a bunch of people. And right now I'm doing it.
But then the thing is, I don't know about life, but if you have a skill, for example, if you draw, or if you dance, or if you sing, in those cases, I think perfectionism plays a part, because every time your intention is that I draw better every time I draw next, or I sing the exact notes I want to hit, or I dance the exact way, the quote-unquote perfect way that I can on stage. Or if I do stand-up, my idea is that next time when I do the same set, it should have more jokes so that it gets a laugh at every line or every second line. So if you're talking about a skill, there I think perfectionism does play a part. But in life, I think it's an ongoing process. You'll only be able to judge whether you had a perfect life or not at your last breath. Otherwise, how can you judge if you have had a perfect life or not? So,
Right.
And I think somewhere all of us need to learn that mistakes are what help us grow.
Very
and
true.
we need to stop being afraid of making mistakes, because only if you make a mistake will you learn the lesson.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's an amazing point. I love it. And I think even in the arts, I mean, the way you learn that a joke doesn't work in the...
Not an art. I'm talking about skill. Art is like, of course, you can be inspired by anything and make art without the pressure of being perfect.
Okay, even in a skill, for example. Now, would you say like doing stand-up comedy is a skill? Right. So even in that, like by making mistakes, by bombing is how we actually grow and get to that level of perfectionism. And I think that Jaanam in the first few minutes of the podcast itself said the perfect line, which is
aim for perfection, but don't obsess over it.
Yeah, aim for perfection. Don't be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that is a message we should be leaving all our listeners.
You want to put that on a t-shirt? Let's sell it. Let's put it on a t-shirt. If you want those t-shirts, guys, write into us.
Let's do that. Yeah, sure.
Let's make the perfect t-shirts.
Priced perfectly as well, guys.
Perfect price. Free. No. No, I'm kidding. That's a message we want to leave you guys with today. If you guys have any views on this topic, you can write to us at Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Our handle on all the platforms is at IVM Podcasts, and you can use the hashtag IVM Daily. If you want to hit me up on Instagram, it's at Aya_G. Abbas?
I'm at Abbas Momin on Twitter, Abbas Momin88 on Instagram.
I'm at Jaanam Devan on Twitter.
All right then, guys. Until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.
As you can see, we have a podcast listener in his natural habitat. Millions of years of evolution have led him to this point. He's on his way to work, and listening to podcasts makes his miserable day better. He will now head to work and use all his knowledge to communicate with other colleagues and possibly future mates. You can find more of his species on ivmpodcasts.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out all the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.